Undertale is my number one game, and it has been since elementary school. Its ability to demonstrate moral ambiguity, as well as the nature of humans, make for an experience that actually blows your mind once you realize all that it is. On top of that, the enjoyment for the franchise expands much past the game itself. That last part may not make a ton of sense to you as of now, but with that being said, let's talk about Undertale. Undertale is great, and the plot is part of this, of course. Let's go over what the game is about. You, a human child, have just fallen into the underground located somewhere on Mount Ebott. This underground holds monsters who have been sealed away by humans. Monsters and humans once lived on the surface together. However, as souls are a very important part of this universe, monsters can grow exponentially stronger by absorbing a human soul. Considering that the only way for a monster to get their hands on a human soul is to either A, have the human willingly give it up, killing them in the process, or B, just killing the human. Humans then declared war on the monsters, and after winning said war, they sealed the monsters away in what we know as the underground. You play as Frisk, a child who falls into said underground as mentioned earlier, and are determined to find a way out. You are greeted by Flowey, the murderous flower who wants to kill you before Goat Lady shows up. Toriel resides in the ruins, and she tries to have you stay there, as moving past the ruins will put a massive target on your back. Asgore is the king of the underground. He's also Toriel's previous husband. Asgore is determined to get the monsters out of the underground, and to do this, they need to break the barrier. The barrier is what keeps the monsters underground, and for a monster to be able to break that barrier, they need to obtain godlike strength, and this strength comes from a monster absorbing 7 human souls. 6 others have come before you, and they've all been slain, which makes you the 7th and last child needed for Asgore to become a god and free the monsters from the underground. Toriel has tried to save all of them, but none of them listened, and you follow in their footsteps. The ruins is where you make your decision on how to play the game. In the underground, you can either fight or spare the monsters, either befriend the monsters or kill them all. The choices you make dictate how the game will go, of course. There is a route where you don't kill all the monsters, but some of them. But that's boring. The canonical events of Undertale only include the pacifist and the genocide route. The pacifist run is obviously the run where you don't kill any monsters and befriend them instead. Realistically, this is the only way for monsters to coexist with humans in the first place. You're not only working to save the underground, but rebuilding the reputation for humans. In this run, you prove to Toriel that you're more determined than any other human that's come by to get out of the underground, and more importantly, take the monsters with you. You have a date with Papyrus, save Undyne from dying, and have a dance-off with Mediton, and also get through Judgment Hall without having Sans beat your ass. Judgment Hall is a hall in the royal castle where Sans will judge you for your actions. In the pacifist run, he lets you go with a pat on the back. After doing so, you meet Flowey, who is sick of the hope everyone has regarding Frisk, and so absorbs all the souls in the underground. He then becomes the long-lost child of the Dreamer family, Asriel Dreamer. During this fight, you are able to vaguely access the souls that he absorbs, and through the memories you share with everyone, are able to bring them back to their senses. You save all your friends, but you also realize that there is someone else that needs to be saved. A long time ago, Asriel, Toriel, and Asgore were one happy family. It is also revealed here that you aren't the 7th human to fall into the underground, you're actually the 8th. Before the events of the story, a child named Kara falls down and Asriel comes to the rescue. She's adopted into the Dreamer family, she becomes a new symbol of hope for the underground, and all is well, until Asriel and Kara decide to make some butterscotch pie. The recipe calls for butterscotch, but by mistake, the children use buttercups. Because of this, Kara falls ill and eventually is on the brink of death. Their last wish is to go back to the surface and see the flowers that put her into this sick state in the first place. Asriel then absorbs her soul, in which the two now share a body. Kara, in the body of Asriel, takes their corpse to the surface, in which they are attacked by humans. Kara wanted to kill the humans attacking them, but Asriel fought for control of the body. While this happened, The humans didn't let up their attacks, and so the two eventually died. Toriel eventually gives Kara a proper burial, but Asriel, as most monsters do, turns to dust. He was turned into dust near some particular yellow flowers. Alphys tries to bring back Asriel by injecting determination into one of the flowers that Asriel's dust had spread to create Flowey. The dust had the essence of Asriel, but the flower didn't have a soul, and so had the memories of the child, but wasn't able to feel compassion anymore. All that was left in Flowey was malice, which is the kind of flower that we're introduced to when starting the game. Flowey recognizes that after going up to the surface, they were attacked immediately, and so, because he has no compassion, develops the kill or be killed ideology. Through absorbing every soul in the underground, including the 6 human souls, Asriel reawakens. Through your compassion and understanding of Asriel, you are able to save him as well. Asriel breaks the barrier, turns back into a flower, and with that, the monsters are finally free from the underground. Through your determination, everyone in the underground gets to watch the beautiful sunset. The happy ending is achieved. However, as I mentioned earlier, there is a not so happy ending. During your genocide run, you miss out on a couple fights, and some fights become a lot harder. Take for example the Undyne fight. During one of your confrontations with Monster Kid, he tries to fight you, and when you attack him, Undyne gets in the way. Similarly to a couple other bosses, you instantly kill Undyne. However, through the power of determination, she holds on, and her name changes to Undyne the Undying. Through a seriously hard fight and a seriouser OST, she melts down, as monsters aren't able to harness human emotion like humans can. Her OST is something to take note of as well. During the genocide run, her OST changes from the standard Spears of Justice to the new Battle Against a True Hero. Undyne is the hope of the underground, aside from Asgore of course. She's someone that everyone relies on, and in the genocide run, she's the hero of the underground. You are no longer the hero of the underground anymore. That role falls onto Undyne. She is the hope of the underground, and is standing her ground in the face of not only the villain of the story, but in front of certain death. The OST reflects this perfectly. Sorry if I butchered the pronunciation, but there's a guy on YouTube called Davey Vask. He analyzes game OSTs, and he absolutely nails this track.
It's a happy chord and a sad chord at the same time. It sounds confusing. Sounds kind of disturbing, really.
The OST perfectly reflects the new role that Undyne has been given, as well as the fact that this is probably her last battle. The other infamous fight of the genocide run is Sans.
No way! No way! Banjos.
He's the final obstacle in your way before you massacre the entire underground. Death awaits you many times when fighting Sans.
Oh, you asshole!
And Sans waits there, greeting you every time. Sans is aware of your resets. He's aware that what you're going through is one of the many runs that involves the death of his brother and the inevitable death of himself. He's aware that every time he kills you, you're just gonna come right back. After the fight of your life, you finally kill the skeleton, and in the end, massacre the entire underground. Your sheer determination to kill every monster down there is enough to reawaken Kara. She wants to kill every monster in the underground again. They want to erase the world and start over again. or in other words, a reset. It's important to note that she isn't talking to Frisk, she's talking to you, the player. Why is Kara evil, you ask? The same reason Flowey is. She doesn't have a soul, yet is reawoken by your determination. Azrael absorbed her soul, and so she became soulless. The corpse without a soul has reawoken, without any of the compassion it once had. She asks you whether you'll join her in erasing the world and starting all over again. But when presented with answers, it doesn't matter. You never had a choice to begin with, in which she then kills you, the player. It is implied that she then possesses the player, going on to kill every monster in the underground over and over. Fun fact, you get a special surprise for completing the pacifist run after completing the genocide run, reinforcing the fact that the game knows about your saves and resets. I mentioned this for the Undyne track, but one very fascinating thing about the series is the music. There is the infamous Megalovania, a track that embodies the fact that Sans kills you over and over again. He knows you're gonna come back, and is determined to try and get rid of you for good, to convince you to stop coming back. Undyne, on the other hand, pulls a 180 on the stereotypical boss fight in terms of music. The track is titled A Battle Against a True Hero, and for a good reason. You aren't meant to play through genocide. Everything in the game leads you away from completing the run. On the other hand, the pacifist run draws you closer in comparison. Not playing through genocide is the whole point of it. You are no longer the savior of the underground, and so the responsibility falls on Undyne. This should be the case, but, as mentioned before, you one-shot her. Mettaton Neo's theme also embodies the fact. However, you've already seen this once before, and similar to Undyne, you one-shot Mettaton, except unlike Undyne, he doesn't come back. The various themes for the locations throughout the underground sound more ominous, and this correlates to no one being anywhere. Furthermore, it adds to the idea that you aren't encountering monsters that stand in your way. You're purposely going around looking for them so you can kill them all. In my opinion, the best OST that truly embodies all of what the genocide run is in Undertale is the one that plays when you've killed all the monsters in a specific area. The genocide run is completed by exhausting the kill count of every area in the underground. When you kill everything that can be killed in a specific area, nothing happens. Your save files have the text determination in them, but what else? Walking around a little more reveals that you can in fact trigger more encounters. However, when you do so, in small letters, the text, "but nobody came," pops up. And when you do so for the first time in an area, this starts playing. This, in my opinion, is the beauty of Undertale. The pacifist route is the true route, while genocide is something that shouldn't exist. However, it does. You can turn back at any point and reset for a happy ending, but you don't. You kill everyone in the underground, willingly. The emphasis put on not playing the genocide route, whether it be the painstaking task of finding and killing everyone in the underground, or the emotional baggage that the pacifist run places on each of the characters, juxtaposes the natural curiosity of us people, and this reinforces the story of Undertale and its fourth wall-breaking properties. The story reflects this as well, where humans seal the monsters in the underground for the mere thought of an uprising with the use of human souls. Humans are the bad guys. There have been a bunch of stories where humans are the bad guys, and our reality isn't too far off when discussing the matter. However, I believe that Undertale captures this the best due to the nature of its pacifist and genocide runs. It's up to the player to play through each route. I'm sure 99% of the player base did either the neutral or the pacifist run on their first go. However, some people out there did the genocide in their first run, and to those of you who did, you're weird. Regardless, the player dictates how the run goes, and for this reason, I believe it captures what human nature is. Now, someone very pivotal in regards to the fandom is Gaster. Gaster is someone you don't meet in-game, well, unless you tinker with some game files. This leads you to a room with some dude just sitting there. Touch him and he's gone. That is the only interaction you will ever have with this guy. There are some hints in-game regarding his existence though. He's the one who made the core, a machine that powers all the underground, and he was the royal scientist before Alphys, and something happened to him regarding him and his creation for him to be the way that he is. Sans also seems to have a connection with him based on the secret lab that Sans has behind his house. The theory that everyone goes along with is that Gaster is related to the Bone brothers, who was either some sort of father figure Or is the person who made them the way they are? Not much actual lore behind the character is known, so most of it comes from speculation and building upon said speculation. Now that that's over with, let's talk about probably the most active and interesting community regarding any single player game.
It's a beautiful day outside. The birds are singing.
Undertale won't be beat when it comes to player-based dedication. Let's look at AUs, or alternate universes, regarding the series. The fans have come together, and using the lore behind the idea that Sans knows about the many timelines that cycle through genocide, neutral, pacifist, and most importantly, the death of his brother. These alternate universes aren't something that one guy thought up of, as at its peak, thousands of people were invested into the creation of these AUs. Undertale, a reality where everything is grumpy until little old Frisk comes around. Also, Flowey is a beacon of good vibes, rather than, that. Underswap, a reality where every character is swapped with another. Sans with Papyrus, Toriel with Asgore, Undyne with Alphys, you get the point. Story Shift, a variation of Underswap where roles are reversed on top of the switching roles. For example, Kara takes place the role of Sans and Azrael Papyrus. There are hundreds of these to go through with their own lore, but to get how truly interesting these get, you have to talk about the Sans fight. Sans is the center point for all these AUs. There have been various variations to the Sans fight. Something particularly interesting is the combination of AUs. One of the most infamous is the Bad Time Trio. Undertale, Underswap, and Story Shift come together in a 1-on-3 fight against 3 iterations of Sans. Now it's cool that there are so many versions of Sans, but the community have stepped it up a bit by making fan games regarding these versions of Sans. Shout out to Merg. He's been doing fan games for a while now, since I was in middle school actually. I've been an Undertale fan since elementary. I'm an OG furry gamer. Speaking of elementary school, I used to draw this shit. Look at this horse shit. Back to Undertale. The best Undertale fan game out there has got to be the Disbelief series. In this timeline, Sans is done seeing his brother die and so confronts you before you fight Papyrus. Inevitably, you kill Sans, and Papyrus sees this. He's the one who greets you in Judgment Hall. You face him in battle, where at first he tries to reason with you despite the pain you've caused him. Show him that you're as brutal as always and he changes his mind. Phase 2. He realizes that you can't change, and now you have to face the wrath of the great Papyrus. You will get through it eventually, and when you do, he realizes that he can't go on. He's lost, and he can't do anything. He misses his brother, although when thinking about his brother, something resonates within him. He brings to life Sans from the dead. Also, he has cool spooky eye now. Undyne also joins the mix, and after finally coming to terms with the fact that they aren't coming back, the power that he once had deteriorates. He then remembers what he's fighting for the sake of the monsters in the underground, his brother, and you. After all this time, he still won't give up on you. While reflecting about the fight, you and Papyrus have one last showdown, and in the end, just as you killed everyone before him, you kill Papyrus. And this is just one of hundreds of fights that have stemmed from the original Sans fight. We got Sans absorbing the souls, a fight where Sans doesn't die in one hit but stays alive through willpower, determination, and the aid of good old Gaster, a personal favorite. It's called Last Breath. Go watch it. There's even a fan animation about the game. There's a fan animation about the fan game. Crazy. Now that you've heard of Disbelief and Last Breath, let's combine the two. Now what about Bad Time Trio and Last Breath? The rabbit hole goes deep, and it is fucking amazing. The best part is, these games are all by different people. Different people who want to expand on the same timeline. that have no connection to Toby Fox. If you've already explored what Undertale has to offer, please go explore the fan games on Game Jolt. And how could I talk about the fan games without mentioning the music? They take the feel of Undertale, make it fit the battle, and most importantly, make it sound fucking awesome. Let's go over the games I previously discussed. There have been hundreds of different AUs with different theme songs that have been released and remixed. It even has its own wiki on this stuff. Now that we realize how good the fan games are, let's talk fan animations. Sans, of course, is going to be the focus of fan animations as well, so let's just get it out of the way. There are hundreds of animations of Judgment Hall. However, as I mentioned earlier, the community has taken a particular interest in Gaster, due to the belief that he has some sort of connection to Sans. There are two ongoing fan animations that surround what would happen if Gaster was integrated into the story, both in the vanilla timeline and other AUs. Glitch Tale is an AU that delves into the pacifist route, where there is no such thing as a do-over. The reset button is gone, and so all mistakes will continuously haunt the cast. It goes over what it would look like for humans and monsters to be united against a common enemy, so if you want to go check it out, go do so. Underverse is a more expansive story, where the Sans we all know and love travels to other AUs, where he encounters different versions of himself. This all comes to a boiling point when Cross is involved, a version of Sans created by the creator of Underverse. Cross is from a timeline in which its Gaster acts on a much more grand scale compared to all the others. Look at this, and tell me not that you would be hyped as fuck watching this for the first time. Undertale is a fairly small game which turned into something massive thanks to the creative direction of the fanbase, which is unanimous in its making of AUs. It's mind-blowing how coordinated and on board the community is regarding the making of these AUs that stretch the world of Undertale to practically infinity. However, don't let this distract you from how great of a game Undertale is on its own. Whether you have green hair, red hair, or are a virtual projection of an anime character, it hits you in the feels nonetheless. It has been my favorite game for a reason, and I hope you see why. I could talk about this for literally hours on end, but I'm trying to keep it short. So with that being said, I'll see you ugly fat fucks later.